Thank you, Kirsten. I stopped timing after 12 minutes. Thank you very much. You know a good presenter because I got most of that, except for the political stuff, but you know a good presenter when they make you feel smarter by listening to them, so thanks for that. Next up, we've got Jamie Ally. He's the Director of Engineering and Energy Made Clean and a Director at the Fremantle Wind Cooperative. Originally from Canada, Jamie came to Perth in 2004 as a lead engineer on the hydrogen fuel cell bus project. He believes that community-owned energy projects will have a major role in transforming how we generate, store, transmit, and use energy. Please join me in welcoming Jamie.
Thanks, Susan, and thanks, Flavia, for inviting me. And I'm using a Prezi, so I'm going to have to make sure that I click on the right thing down here. Before I start, I just want to totally echo what Kirsten was saying about this being a transformative time and a time of remarkable change in the energy industry. I'm personally really in the trenches of that change, and it's happening on the ground right now. It's not like next year or 5 years from now it's going to start happening. It is happening. And if anybody here is thinking about entering the energy industry as a career, academically or professionally, it's a roller coaster, but it's also very exciting. That disruption is happening. It's a very old industry that's going through a massive technological change right now. And I've been asked to talk about community energy, and before I get into my slides, I'm going to use the case study of the Fremantle Wind Farm to tell you about community renewable energy. Before I start the slides, I wanted to say that if anybody here is thinking about getting into a community renewable energy project or starting one, and I hope there are people that are looking to do that here, you may already be working on one. I also want to forewarn you, it is hard. It is not easy. It takes an incredible amount of time and effort and patience, and when you think you've run out of time and you've run out of resources, you got to find more time and more resources. And when you think you've had it and you're frustrated and you've run out of patience, you're going to need to go find more patience. It takes a long time, but well worth it, I think. So the Fremantle Wind Farm is a plan to build 8 to 12 wind turbines at Fremantle Port. And the turbines will generate about 6.4 megawatts or more, which is enough energy to power about 3,300 homes or more. So I'll show you a bit more detail about the plan, but I don't know if you can see that text. I apologize for it being a bit small. I mean, the objective, what I'm trying to say there is the objective is to maximize community ownership of the wind farm. So the idea is that we will capitalize the project by selling shares in the wind farm to the community. Community investors will then get a return on investment, and it's a key principle of our wind farm team here that the community investors get a very good return on that investment. It'll be an infrastructure level return, like most energy investors get, but it's very important for us and we think for the entire industry to make sure that these projects are executed responsibly and in a way that does deliver good returns to the investors. If we ever have a community-owned project built that loses the shareholders' money, then that could set the whole industry back by quite a bit. So it's important that you have the commercial skills in the team to deliver that return and to manage those funds, just as important as it is to have the engineering skills to make sure that the wind turbines don't fall over. So that's key to the model. And we also took a lot of inspiration from the Bendigo Bank model for community banks. And one of the aspects of the Bendigo Bank approach is that they have a surplus of funds that's set aside to invest in community projects. So our plan is to do the same thing. We're going to cap the returns. We hope to build up an account with a surplus of funds that a steering committee can use to allocate to other community projects. Not necessarily renewable energy, just other community projects. Keep the funds in the community. So you get this great kind of circular effect of funds. You get community shareholders investing in the project, capitalizing it, generating clean electricity in their community, deriving the revenue from that electricity, and then reinvesting it in other projects along the way. So that's what we're trying to do. And what will it look like? Well, it's at Fremantle Port. We've got some visualizations. This is what the wind farm would look like from Leighton Beach. This is what it would look like from Merv Cowan Park, and you can actually barely see the wind turbines in this picture. There's one there. They're kind of in amongst the container cranes. One of the best things about Fremantle Port as a wind farm site is that it's not a rural landscape where we might meet a lot of opposition from people who don't want their views to be impeded. There's already a lot of infrastructure there, as you can see in this picture. So it's an ideal location in that sense. And here's another view from Monument Hill. Same deal, you can see that wind turbines in amongst the port infrastructure and the container crane. And the wind turbines are actually on the other side of the port from the city of Fremantle, so the ambient noise of the port itself masks whatever noise might come from the wind turbines. It's another advantage. You can also see in this picture that the wind turbines are sized to be about the same height as the container cranes. That way they don't kind of stick up into people's view. Although I will say that if we can go bigger, and we might ask the community if we can go bigger, then we generate even more energy and better return on investment. So we get asked a lot, can wind turbines work at a port? And the answer, of course, is yes. People wonder, can wind turbines be put into a breakwater or a mole? These pictures are from all over the world. The one in the middle there is from 1985, so it's not like we're trying to do anything unique here. The one on the bottom right is Bristol Port in the UK, and that actually was built by the company that built that issued community bonds to people. So people bought bonds, and that's how they capitalized the wind farm there. And they've given us some great advice about how to build a wind farm at a port. And the one on the left was sent to me by Simon Holmesecourt just 2 weeks ago. His brother was in the Seychelles and saw wind turbines at a port and said, hey, don't you know somebody that's trying to build wind turbines at a port? And so we added it to the collection. So the design is, you're looking at Fremantle Port now, Google Maps from the air. You can see Rouse Head Harbor. That's this bit here. And this is the main Fremantle Port area, city of Fremantle. The turbines are going to go along the mole of Rouse Head. There's going to be a few on this edge, and this blue area here that's kind of got lines around it is actually reclaimed land now, so we could build a few more turbines around the edge of that reclaimed land. So that's roughly the area that we're looking at. I mentioned 8 to 12 turbines before, so the 8 don't include the ones that would go on the reclaimed land. Okay, and you know, why Fremantle Port? People ask us all the time, why are you building this at Fremantle Port? There are a few reasons. There's a few commercial reasons, which I don't think I have time to go into. But the main reason is because it's already an industrial area. It's already got all this infrastructure. It's long-term infrastructure. It's windy there. We've got the wind coming from the Fremantle Doctor. It's one of the most reliable winds in the world. There's nearby loads in the city. There's nearby loads at the port. One of the best advantages we think is that for us is that we want to see large-scale renewables built closer to urban centers, closer to the loads and closer to where people can see and go and feel and touch what large-scale renewable looks like. Because a lot of people don't even know, what a wind turbine sounds like. And the funny thing is that Rottnest Island has a 600 kilowatt turbine on it. People don't even notice it. If you go to Rottnest Island and you ask people who are in a community, in a group of villas, only I think 200 meters from the wind turbine, what the wind turbine sounds like, nobody can tell you. But you still can't build a wind turbine, within 2 kilometers of a residence in Victoria, I think, and we've got similar threats over here. So just improving the familiarity with the technology is a big part of what we're trying to do. And where we're at is, people always ask us, well, this seems to stack up, it makes sense, why isn't it going ahead? Well, you kind of need these 6 things to build a wind farm. And the first thing you need is customers, off-takers for the electricity. You need the wind resource, and that's all proven up. You need planning approval, and this project is actually quite old. It had planning approval in 2008 from the WAPC, and it had planning approval from the city of Fremantle. So we would need to refresh that planning approval now, but it's happened before. You need finance and you need network access. What we're missing is land access. And that's because the Fremantle Port Authority, the guys at the top of this big building here, basically won't let us lease 8 little circles of land because they think there's going to be a community backlash. So what we're trying to do at the moment, I just got the 2-minute warning a few seconds ago, so I'm going to speed up. What we're trying to do is figure out how to make it happen, and the way we're going to make it happen is by creating a risk for Fremantle ports in not letting us lease the land. So what we're essentially doing is building up a massive amount of community support around this project. We're engaging the politicians, and we're trying to convince Fremantle Ports that there's actually a community pull for this project, and that it's actually in their best interests, and it really truly is in their best interests in a lot of ways, environmentally, commercially, and technically, and politically, to help us get this thing off the ground, to let us lease these 8 little circles of land. So the picture that you're seeing there is us at a community event. How people can get involved, we're all over the social media, of course. You can go to our Facebook page, we're on Twitter. We've done a bunch of videos. We've been on the 7:30 report. You may have seen us in the paper. So we're starting to build up a lot of noise and a lot of spin around this project, which is great. One point that I want to make before I wrap up, and I'll make one more mention of how to get involved in the Frio Wind Farm, but just to follow on some of the things that Kirsten was saying, we're at this time where this transformation is happening not only because we have these energy technologies like solar panels that are allowing people to become distributed generators in a very modular and discrete way, but we also have these information technologies that are really key to enabling community and energy projects to start to kind of bloom up all over the place. And when I talk about information technologies, I'm talking about social media and the massive change in the way and the ease of organizing groups of people around an idea with social media. And I'm also talking about crowdfunding. So this combination of the democratization of energy was the term that Kirsten used, and I like that one a lot. The democratization of energy, the fact that anybody can really get involved in being an energy generator now, and the combination of social media to let people find ways to collaborate and get ideas out there quickly, and crowdfund the capital is just kind of the perfect set of ingredients for community energy. And on crowdfunding, we did a crowdfunding campaign last year. We tried to raise some money to build some videos, to do some myth busting about wind energy. We wanted to raise 10 grand. We did that well before the deadline. We actually got up to 13. This allowed us to give a lot of rewards out to people. We gave people bumper stickers and t-shirts and all kinds of things for donating. And you can still get those. I think some might be here because there's some people from the wind farm team around. But that's nothing compared to what's happening in Europe at the moment, and this will happen here eventually. The Dutch crowdfunded a wind turbine. They raised 1.3 million euros in 13 hours. So you see it in Germany. If you spend much time in Germany, there's towns where like there's a little village and a wind turbine just kind of grown out of the middle of it, and it's community owned. So it's something that the Europeans are doing really well. There's laws and rules that prevent us from capital raising in that way here at the moment, but eventually those will probably change, and that flow of capital from the community will be released into these kinds of projects. So I want to finish by telling you about a thunderclap that we're running. I mentioned we crowdfunded these videos. We launched the videos on Saturday. We had a great event at the Maritime Museum in Fremantle, in a venue, in a room that overlooked the port area, exactly where the wind turbines would go. If you haven't heard of it, thunderclap, I probably don't have time to explain it, but you can get on there and sign up. You can go to our Facebook page or Google us and find us, and you'll find the thunderclap. And you've got about 8 days to get into the thunderclap. So I will finish there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.